know that everybody is frustrated, and of course, people want to take all their frustration out on the head coach and Kyle Shanahan, which I listen, I agree with you for the most part. But I do want to caution people on firing Kyle Shanahan and going right after him at this moment. And the reason that I say this is, and it all depends on where you're coming from. If you still believe in Brock Purdy and you feel like he's worth all the money and he's a franchise quarterback, then you shouldn't necessarily be wanting Kyle Shanahan to be fired. And I'll tell you why. If you are going to bring in a coach to replace Kyle Shanahan, there's a good chance that the top candidates are not going to want Brock Purdy to be their quarterback. That is very, very possible. And if you're going to lure the top candidates away, whether it's a Ben Johnson or what have you, they're going to want to choose their quarterback, which means you're basically saying, hey, Brock Purdy's not it. He can be the bridge guy, whatever, but they're going to trade for their quote unquote guy. That's just the way that it works in the NFL. And if you're going to force Brock Purdy onto the new coach, then you're going to eliminate a lot of really good candidates. And that's where you can get into a situation where you have not necessarily a Jim Tomsula or Chip Kelly, but just not a great candidate, not a great replacement. So when you talk about firing Kyle Shanahan, this is something that you have to keep in mind. Now, I'm not ready to just like fire Kyle right now. I did say last night, and I still believe this way. I think it's time to look at retool/rebuild. You keep the young guys. You keep the Cowings, the Pearsalls. You let them play this year. You see what they can bring. But you get rid of the Debos, the Kittles, the Trents, if there's something worth trading them for at the deadline, and try to get something for them before it's too late. You take a major cap hit next year, the rest of this year and next year, and you deal with that. And then the year after that, hopefully with those draft picks, the freed up money, you're able to start competing again in a real way. But if you don't take that approach, you're waiting an additional year before you're able to compete. So if you are buyers at the deadline, I think that that's setting your franchise back at least one season, maybe two. So I agree. I think it's time to retool/rebuild. I just don't know that if that means we should get rid of Kyle Shanahan necessarily or Brock Purdy. For me, I want to see Brock Purdy play out his rookie contract, and then let's figure it out from there. I'm just not eager to pay him. I want to see him play with some of these younger guys, and maybe, if that means that he's not fit for it, then he's gone. Kyle Shanahan's gone. What have you? I just know that the moment you move on from Kyle, and a lot of you in your head, your scenario is, well, let's move on from Kyle and keep Brock and see what the new coach can do with Brock. You may not necessarily get that. New coach may not want Brock, and if you want the best of the best, you're going to have to acquiesce to whatever it is that they want. That's just the way that it works in this league.